Close your eyes for a second. I'm going to describe something to you. A large building. Steel and concrete. Cranes overhead. The sound of heavy machinery. Grinding, crashing. The low percussion of something massive being moved. Dust in the air. Workers in hard hats. A structure that does not yet look like what it will eventually become. How do you feel now? Same building. Same cranes. Same sounds. Same dust. Same workers. Except it's coming down. Something just shifted, didn't it? And here's the thing. You can't explain it. Not really. The physics are almost identical. The noise levels are comparable. The visual chaos is roughly the same. A steel skeleton rising and a steel skeleton falling look, from certain angles, nearly indistinguishable. But one of them feels like a beginning, and one of them feels like a death. Why? Why? Not why does this happen? We know it happens. Everyone knows it happens. It happens in Tokyo and in Lagos and in São Paulo and in Oslo. It happens in cultures that don't share a language, a religion, or a century. The question is what it tells us about what we actually are. The easy answer is memory. When a building comes down, we lose the memories attached to it. The school where something important happened. The restaurant where a relationship began or ended. The corner shop that smelled a specific way on winter mornings. The building isn't the point. The building is a filing cabinet. And when the cabinet burns, the files go with it. This is true. Partially. But it doesn't actually hold up. Because you don't need to have any memory of a building to grieve its demolition. Studies on urban grief, and yes, that's a real field, consistently find that people mourn buildings they've never entered. Buildings they've only seen from a bus window. Buildings in cities they visit once, 15 years ago. In 2019, when a crane took the first bite out of a mid-century office block in Melbourne, that almost no one had strong feelings about while it stood. Dozens of strangers gathered to watch. Some of them cried. When asked why, most of them couldn't say. And here's something stranger still. When those same people walked past a construction site the previous week, same street, same noise, same disruption to their commute, none of them stopped. None of them felt anything particular. They were mildly annoyed, maybe. They crossed to the other side. Same street. Opposite emotion. The only variable was the direction of the process. Memory doesn't explain that. Memory is about what was. This is about something else entirely. Something happening at a much lower level than memory. Here's what's actually happening. Your brain is not a recording device. It is a prediction engine. Every waking moment, it is running a model of the future. A fast, mostly unconscious simulation of what comes next, what the world will look like in 10 seconds, 10 minutes, 10 years. It is always leaning forward in time. And the brain is exquisitely sensitive to one specific variable. Which direction is this process going? Not how loud. Not how large. Not how disruptive. Which direction? Construction feeds the forward model. Steel going up. Floors accumulating. A shape emerging from nothing. Every day the site looks more like something. The brain tracks this as a trajectory aimed at the future, and it assigns that trajectory a feeling. That feeling is called anticipation. It is, at its root, the same feeling as hope. Demolition reverses the arrow. Floors disappearing. Structure becoming rubble. Something that was complex becoming simple. The brain tracks this as a trajectory aimed at nothing, and the feeling it assigns to that is not sadness exactly, not at first. It is something more like alarm, because here is what your brain actually registers when it watches a building come down. Time is moving the wrong way, not metaphorically, neurologically. The pattern recognition systems that expect entropy to move in one direction, toward more complexity, more structure, more future, are encountering its inverse. And the emotional system that handles that experience is the same one that handles loss, death, and the end of things. You are not grieving the building. You are grieving the future that building was pointing toward. And that future, as of this moment, does not exist. There is a concept in environmental psychology called place identity. The idea is uncomfortable, so let me ease you into it. You know how you have a sense of self, a continuous, stable feeling of being you across time? That feeling is partly constructed from the places you have inhabited, not just remembered, inhabited. The rooms you have sat in, the streets you have walked down enough times that they stopped requiring attention, the buildings you have used as landmarks, as orientation points, as the fixed coordinates around which your daily life arranged itself. Those places are not backdrops. They are part of the self. This is not poetry. It is fairly well-documented cognitive architecture. When the places that anchor your identity are removed, brain imaging studies show activation in the same regions associated with social rejection and physical pain. The loss of a significant place registers neurologically as something close to the loss of a person. And here is where it gets dark. This is not a modern problem. It is not a symptom of attachment or sentimentality or NIMBYism or whatever dismissive label you like to apply to it. First Nations communities have known this for centuries, not as theory, but as lived experience. When colonizers demolished sacred sites, they were not simply destroying buildings. They were performing a specific kind of violence. They were excising pieces of collective identity that could not be rebuilt. You cannot reconstruct a place. You can construct a building on the same coordinates, but the place, the accumulated weight of time and meaning, and the specific quality of being there, that is gone. Forever is a word we use too easily. In this context, it is the only accurate word. So if demolition destroys place identity, why doesn't construction create it? It does. Eventually, but not yet. And the not yet is everything. A building under construction is a promise. Promises feel good. We are extraordinarily susceptible to promises, to the implied future, the shape of what might be. The construction site is not a place. Not yet. It is the outline of a place. And outlines are, neurologically, very exciting. The brain fills them in, projects into them, imagines them furnished with life and meaning and use. The half-built frame is a blank page. And blank pages are terrifying and wonderful in equal measure, but in this context, in the context of a building rising, the wonderful wins. Because the direction of travel is toward something, and toward something always feels better than toward nothing. Demolition is not the same process in reverse. This is the piece that most people miss. Construction is additive. Each day, more exists. The future accumulates. Demolition is not subtractive in the same clean way. It does not simply remove what is there. It removes what was there, and what might have been there, and what was assumed to still be there tomorrow, and next year, and in the decades when you would have passed it without thinking, the way you pass things that are permanent. The way you pass things you have stopped noticing because you assumed they would always be there to not notice. The grief of demolition is partly the grief of having taken something for granted. And that specific species of grief, the kind where the loss reveals an assumption you didn't know you were making, is one of the sharpest ones there is. You didn't know you needed it until it was already dust. There is a building in your city that you have never been inside. You pass it sometimes. You do not think about it. It has a specific quality of permanence that makes it functionally invisible, the way all permanent things become invisible eventually. One day, without announcement, it will begin to come down. And you will feel something you won't be able to name. Something that arrives before the thought does. Before you've processed what you're seeing. And what you're feeling in that moment is not nostalgia. It's not sentimentality. It is your brain encountering a reversal of the arrow of time. Your brain registering that a piece of the architecture of yourself, a piece you didn't know was load-bearing, is being removed. Construction and demolition are not opposites. They are not two directions of the same process. One is the world offering you a future. The other is the world quietly revising one it had already promised. And somewhere in the gap between those two things, in the asymmetry between the hope you feel watching something rise and the grief you feel watching something fall, is a clue about what it means to be a thing that points forward, and to live in a world that sometimes doesn't.